Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the breakdown. Uh, I figured that maybe I should find a name for the show, uh, so I decided on the breakdown. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well as leave your comments or any questions that you might have on these particular issues that are happening in the country. Now, for the breakdown, I always like to go deep down into a situation or a scenario, especially on the issues that are happening in Uganda today. Now, several African countries have tried populist kind of policies in order to popularize their to popularize their dictatorships and leaderships. Whenever they are doing, whenever things are not going so well for them, what they decide to do is number one, scapegoats. Number two, diversions. And then number three, make populist things that might on paper look to be good, but literally when they are draining economies of these states. And of course, Uganda is no exception. One of the ventures that Museveni has been investing a lot of money into in order to rev up the hearts of Ugandans to portray him as a Pan-Africanist and things of this sort is to dash out a lot of money in projects that are becoming white elephants for him. One of the projects that I've been tackling on this channel is known as the Uganda Airlines. Now, besides the Uganda Airlines, we know another project known as the kiira EV, or the kiira electric vehicle. Now, this is a project that the government embarked on and invested a lot of money, of which it owns 96% of the shares in this particular company. Kiira EV is a car manufacturing plant. Some say it is a car assembling plant, and so on and so forth. They invested, I think, something like 40 billion, and now they are the students and the professors that have been working on this project have really put in a lot of time and energy. And of course, Kiira EV had received a wee bit of support from Ugandans because these people had started on their own personal initiative. But as things look, it looks like Kiira EV is now on the dawn of its collapse after Museveni investing 40 billion, and now things are not working out as he expected, number one. Number two is the fact that Kiira EV, after like 6 or 7 years in existence, it cannot even win a contract to supply buses in Uganda, given the fact that it has been manufacturing buses. Not manufacturing as manufacturing, it has prototypes, and it has been waiting for orders in order to start fulfilling them. But Museveni had different ideas. Now, there is this new company, because for those of you who have used the transport system in Uganda, you know that we have the most popular one are the taxis. Then for long haul journeys, we have the buses, or what some of you call coaches. And then we have also the border borders. And now, Kiira EV had banked on the idea that if at all Uganda ever needs to buy cars or all this kind of stuff to avoid importation, they will be the first people they would reach out to. Recently, the government released, I think, 200 million for each MP. That is around, I don't know how many billions, for 529 MPs, each 200 million, to buy new cars. Now, a Kiira EV car, a nice car, I think can cost around, actually less than, it costs, I think, around 130 million. So that's a lot of money, but they were not given contracts to manufacture cars for either public servants or any contract. So they are struggling. But now, as they are struggling, something recently happened. Museveni launched another automobile plant in Kasese. Now, this has been it has been around for a while. It is called Metu Zongtong. Metu Zongtong automobile plant or whatever in Kasese. They had their plant in Namamve where they have been assembling buses. But Metu Zongtong, they don't want to be told that they are assembling. They said they are fabricating, quote unquote, or manufacturing. And I will come to that as a person who has been into welding for quite some time. Now, these people of Metu Zongtong were given a contract, have been given a contract to supply buses to Kampala Capital City Authority. Now, these buses, they have been given a contract of to supply 1,000 buses. Now remember, the government had invested in. You see now, this is the things that are very funny with Museveni's projects, that he doesn't even trust his own ventures. He has already kiira EV, where they have invested 40 billion. The government owns 96% of the shares, and then the 4% is owned by Makerere University. But he cannot even trust those people to manufacture buses for Kampala Capital City Authority. But he has opted for Zongtong Metu, whereas they say that the company is owned by Metu Katabazi. Metu Katabazi is literally just the front man. But Zongtong are the owners of this particular company. Now, what we are seeing today in Uganda is that the Chinese companies are literally taking over the local companies in the country. Now, how could Zongtong win the contract when we have local companies? Now, they are saying that there is a partnership between the Chinese company Zongtong as well as Mr. Katabazi. But Mr. Katabazi is just as an individual. And when I try to look up the ownership of the company, you cannot even see the percentages to which Katabazi owns and to which Zongtong owns. Now, Zongtong is a reputable company that is a Chinese bus manufacturing company. But if it had come as a Chinese bus manufacturing company, we should understand that. But if they try to hide it and guise it under Metu Katabazi, the gentleman, the engineer, then that is where we have to break things down. Okay. As before I get into this article, okay, I'll get into this article before I get into this article briefly, let me play for you a small clip let me go through the article, then because there are two kind of there are two kind of sides of the story. The Chinese have their own version, and then Uganda has its own version. Uganda is saying that, oh, look at we are manufacturing now, we are manufacturing buses. The Chinese are looking at it as another Chinese investment, according to the Chinese media CGTN. Now, according to this article by the New Vision, it says that Kasese automobile plant will be better future for Uganda. Now, this is what they have said. Museveni Saturday broke ground for the new Metu Bus Africa Industries at Kasese Industrial Park, a future automobile city for Uganda. The $50 million, 177 billion shillings project is expected to produce automobiles and machinery, road, city, tourist and school buses. Museveni commended local proprietor and investor Metu Katabazi, who did civil engineering at the University of Nairobi, for working to stop the importation of second-hand vehicles and also create jobs. So here we'll see that the problem is importation of second-hand vehicles. But we should be asking, if at all people are importing second-hand vehicles, what is leading to that? It is because people don't have money to buy the new vehicles. It is because people don't have access to higher purchase. They don't have access to, they are not even paid enough to, if people who we consider middle class cannot afford these new vehicles, how do you think a local Ugandan is going to afford a new vehicle? So the problem that this car automobile plant is solving, number one, it is stopping the importation of old vehicles. Number two, it is the creation of jobs, and that is very important because we are going to look at the number of jobs that Metu Zongtong is going to create compared to the number of jobs that kiira EV is going to create. Now, Museveni commended the local proprietor. Okay, second-hand vehicles are not good. By driving second-hand vehicles, you give rich people's children jobs when yours don't have. The whole of Africa imports cars and give jobs to Japanese, Indians, etc. Why give other jobs and forget yours? Second-hand vehicles are also bad for your health and the environment. They have high fuel consumption. Come on, you're not... Okay, let us not even go into the environment discussion right now. That will be another day. Okay, now this is what he said. The president commended Katabazi for choosing to invest in Kasese and was happy for the people of Kasese who provided the land. He insisted on coming to Kasese. I wanted him... Okay, now that's not important. Now what is very important, that is the gentleman called Katabazi. He's the civil engineer who owns the plant where they are going to be manufacturing. And this is really... I'm really so... Okay. All right. Now, this is where I wanted, yeah. It says, he thanked, okay. He urged the leaders to sensitize their people about wealth creation and job creation, including the four sectors of commercial agriculture, industrialization, services, and ICT. On his part, Katabazi said they would invest 50 million US dollars, about 177 billion, in the next 5 years, and will hope to build capacity to manufacture over 100 buses, including the 4-meter city buses and 4.8 to 1 to 18-meter long buses for rapid transport. Now that's Mr. Katabaz, who is going to invest $50 million. I don't know where the money is going to come from, but it looks like it is the Chinese that are going to invest the money. I can foresee a vibrant multiplier effect in the economy of Uganda. We hope to create 2,000 direct jobs. Now that is very important. Katabaz is going to create 2,000 jobs and 2,000 indirect jobs. Okay, let us give him 4,000 jobs. With your support, we want to have the capacity to become the leading manufacturer of automobiles here. Kataba has commended Uganda prisons and the national medical stores who have already bought some of their fabricated buses from their Namambef plant and urged more organizations to do the same. And where is Kiira EV? Why is no one giving contracts to Kiira EV? Okay. Museveni commissioned Metu Zongtong bus assembling plant based at Namave in Wakiso in 2017, first with the selling of spare parts of heavy vehicles, before later venturing into assembling of 67-seater buses in 2018. The plant went into technological partnership with Chinese manufacturing company Zongtong and currently employs over 55 people. So now they employ 55 people, but they are looking, or whatever, with the investment, they will be employing 2,000 directly and indirectly 4,000. Now, a few things here from Mr. Katabazi. They said that they went into a technological partnership with Zongtong, hence the name Metu Zongtong, because Metu is the name of this, is the other name for Mr. Katabazi, and then Zongtong is the other partner. So we understand that Zongtong, they are going to provide 70% of the equipment that is being used on these buses and also to manufacture these buses. And then 30% of those raw materials are locally sourced from Uganda, right? So they are locally sourced from Uganda, literally. And then 70% comes from China. This is according to the Chinese news, the clip that I'm going to play. Now, also you should understand before we go into this clip, Zongtong as a company, it employs over 4,000 people, right, as staff on the site. Now, if you tell me that Zongtong Uganda is going to employ 2,000 people, I don't know where those 2,000 people, I don't know, the math doesn't work out. Because if Zongtong, the international company, only employs 4,000 people, right, internationally, and these people, they manufacture buses going to every part of the world. And then you tell me that the Ugandan Zongtong is going to employ, there's a projection of, come on. The company already has 55 employees. So you mean, how is it going to reach 2,000? Okay, we shall wait and see. Because that means that it is on the same level as Zongtong, what do you call this one? Zongtong, China. Now, the other issue that is interesting is the fact that even if we go by, per job between Metu Zongtong as well as Kiira EV. Kiira EV was said it is going to create, where's the article? 14,000 jobs to be created as Kayola electric buses hit the market. So for Kayola electric buses and Kiira EV, it was projected that they would be creating something like 14,000 jobs. Now, what you see with Metu Zongtong, for them, whereas they are going to provide these buses, but they are looking to push out the so-called taxi drivers and all these kind of people. Now, I'm not here to say that, okay, Kiira EV is even better. But these projections of Kiira EV as well, I cannot really buy them because most of them is, the government uses a lot of propaganda in most of these particular issues. And these projects have all been highly, highly politicized. And that is why they are not working. They are stunted. They are suffering from, I don't know, Museveni myosin. Museveni is now a disease. They are suffering from the disease called Museveniosis. That is what they are suffering now. But anyway, let us go to the clip that I wanted to show you to give you the Chinese perspective on this particular matter and how the Chinese are actually looking at this particular issue. All right, here's this.
Uganda has launched its first bus assembly plant. The passenger buses are built by the Metu Zongtong Bus Industries in Kampala in partnership with the Zhongtong Company of China. The company hopes to cut down the cost of importing buses from outside the country. CGTN's Michael Baleke has that report.
1, 2, 3, 4, go.
Uganda's first locally produced bus rolling off the production line. The bus was put together by locals, but with technical support from the Zhongtong Company of China.
I am implementing the Road and Belt Initiative of President Xi Jinping of China, which actually aims at lifting us. For example, if China is manufacturing a car, Uganda can manufacture a car. China can help Uganda to manufacture a car.
The plant has the capacity to fabricate and assemble about 20 67-seater buses every month. More than 30% of the materials used to assemble this bus have been sourced from the local market, and it's put together here in Kampala by Ugandan workers, with the move by some African countries to reduce the importation of used cars. The new vehicles market could rise rapidly on the continent. Most of the cars plying Ugandan roads are second-hand imports. Last year, the government banned the importation of vehicles older than 8 years, arguing that used vehicles are expensive to maintain, but are also the leading cause of pollution.
If you bring in very old stuff which just need to be disposed of, is it good for our environment? It's certainly not good. So if you take it away from an individual level, but you are looking at a generation as a country, where will you dump all this crap?
And this is the main inspiration behind Uganda's Metu Zhongtong Bus Industries.
If we can make this a vehicle in Uganda which is new, which is affordable, we help our people to drive new cars. It is improvement on our health, but also improvement on our industry to create jobs.
However, local car dealers say while brand new cars are desirable, the cost remains out of reach for many Ugandans.
The problem we're having here in Uganda is
taxation.
The taxes for the new cars are extremely high. They're not.
Okay. Now, as you can see from the Chinese perspective, of course, they are trying to show that, okay, the Chinese have invested in Uganda, you know, but from the Ugandan angle, it shows that, okay, a Ugandan Katabazi has invested, has built an assembly plant. Now, you should understand, because here, who is benefiting most? Of course, it is Chinese and the Chinese Zhongtong Company. They're the ones that are benefiting the most. And they have a right to, you know, because of the poor policies that we have in Uganda and all this kind of stuff. That's why they have managed to use Uganda as a lucrative market to them. But the local Ugandans, the local Ugandans, do not benefit out of all these projects. Because look, now, all of a sudden, these guys have forgotten Kiira EV. These guys have forgotten the Tondeka bus services. These guys, you remember even the Pioneer bus services, they were there. We had them, but they all collapsed. Because nepotism, greed, as well as, nepotism, greed, as well as corruption. Now, I do not understand how, because these people haven't learned the lessons from the previous bus services that they wanted to bring into Kampala and take over the taxi drivers and take over these motorcycle drivers and also reduce congestion. It literally does not make sense. Now, they are saying that this service, whatever, is going to provide jobs to Ugandans, right? But yeah, providing jobs, good, but we never hear about the salaries that are being given to these people who work in these particular factories. And you should also understand that the purchasing power in Uganda is literally very, very bad. Like Ugandans can literally cannot even purchase these new cars. Now, what is funny about this particular issue is this, and here is the thing that is really interesting to me. When I was looking up these buses, right? This is what they said, these guys. They said that the buses will be costing something around 400 million. Mr. Mutabazi does not even know the prices of his own buses. And when you go to online and look it up, they say that their buses cost something around 100. I think when I was looking at their Facebook page, they said it costs around 110,000 US dollars, right? And then that amounts to around 885 million Ugandan shillings, depending on the exchange rate, which would go up to 400 million Ugandan shillings. Now, when I was looking up this stuff, I was like, okay, 400 million Ugandan shillings, okay? Now, let us look at, now, here is the clarification that they made in, I think this was in the Daily Monitor, I've forgotten, I think it doesn't show the year, but it must have been around 2017 or 18, 19 there, like a year, like not this year, but I think last year. So this is what they said, clarification. Metu Zongtong Buses Industries, the firm that is assembling Zongtong buses in Uganda, has contacted this newspaper to clarify that each of the buses it is building will cost only 70,000 US dollars. That is around 260 million Ugandan shillings. The clarification by Mr. Metu Katabazi, the proprietor of the assembly plant, followed a story we published on Tuesday, quoting him as having said last Saturday that each bus will cost 400 million Ugandan shillings. But Mr. Katabazi yesterday clarified that the initial price that he had quoted was wrong and based on internal miscalculation. The assembling plant is located in Namave, Mukono district, and Mr. Katabazi said it has a capacity to deliver up to 20 buses per month. So, Mr. Katabazi at first says, no, the bus is 400 million. Then all of a sudden he says, no, monitor, the bus is actually 260 million. That is almost half the price. And then a year later, when Museveni commissions the same company for the second time, he commissioned it in Namave and then commissioned it for the second time. They are like, now the bus is 400 million. So which is which? And now they say that they do not manufacture, they do not assemble, but they fabricate. Now we need to ask, what is manufacturing, what is fabrication, and what is assembling? Because as per the news article, according to CGTN, it says that 30% of the pieces on each bus come from Uganda. 30% of those pieces. And I would believe that is the all welding thing. The frame, maybe even the interior might not come from Uganda. If Mr. Katabazi is very transparent, let him come out and his people and show us which percentage of on each bus, what percentage is locally sourced and what percentage comes from outside. That's what we need to know. Because according to CGTN, they say, and they cannot lie, they say that 70% definitely comes from China because Zongtong is a reputable bus making company from China. So literally what we are doing, this is not building Uganda, this is not Bubu. Build Uganda by Uganda. No. This is assemble Uganda, assemble in Uganda, and sell to Uganda, to Ugandans. That is literally what it is. Because manufacturing, the lights are not manufactured in Uganda. The chassis is not manufacturing in Uganda. The engine and all this kind of thing. The only company that had come close to that was only Kiira EV. It's only Kiira EV. But because Museveni has interests, maybe, I don't know, in the same company, I don't know, maybe even the company might be his, so that is why we are seeing, because Mr. Katabazi, of course, is a man who has a lot of money, but if you say that you have a company and you're going to invest, the company has been running and completing orders. It has even been given free land, but it has only 55 employees. Now we need to know how many people are in administration and how many people are actually working on these buses to assemble them. That is really something quite interesting to look into. So those are the things. And now, as you look, now this is Kiira EV. These guys, the Kayola guys who had manufactured the bus. See, this is what they said. The above developments are projected to create over 30,000 jobs directly and 1 million jobs indirectly, and catalyze investment by micro, small, and medium enterprise in the manufacture of motor vehicle parts. The strategic and long-term focus of the electric buses for the cities further demonstrates Uganda's commitment to enhance environmental stewardship. And here Museveni said it is the second-hand cars that are actually causing environmental, they release bad fumes and all this kind of stuff. But here Kiira EV had a better option. They are like, look here guys, we are manufacturing electric buses and they're much better for the environment. And now you tell me, which one is much better for the environment? The new buses of, what do you call that guy? Mr. Katabazi Metu, and these electric buses. Now, in summary, what's happening here? Well, what's happening here is that this is Uganda is Uganda's China, is China's Uganda. If China wants something, Museveni will give favor to Chinese over anyone, over any local company, unless if it is your family member or anything. And he must make sure that if a Chinese is coming in, one of his people has to be in there. So what is happening here literally is that Museveni is the Chinese will always and always take favor. That's it. So if you see a Chinese coming into your industry, you just look for another job or just look for another thing to invest your money in. Because let me tell you one thing, you're not going to win. Even if Museveni has already invested 40 billion in Kiira EV, bro, he's not. If the Chinese come with their own venture under the guise of Mr. Metu Katabazi, calling it Metu Zongotongo, and people are saying that, oh, this company belongs to Mr. Katabazi. Okay, by what percentage? The company is owned by Zongtong. Mr. Katabazi is just the front man. Where will Mr. Katabazi get that? Okay, I know he's a rich guy, but I don't think he's $50 million rich. So it is the Zongtong company, literally. So the Chinese will always take precedent. And for me, I wouldn't blame the Chinese, because for them now they are wiser. They are much... they understand how to manipulate governments, how to benefit from African governments through such kind of loopholes and weaknesses. It is us who have to make sure that we... Of course, we don't want to make things harder for investors. But when you have this kind of thing happening where there is no checks and balances, where there is no accountability, that's what we are going to end up with. So the local companies will be shut down, but to give favor to the Chinese company. So Mr. Katabazi, congratulations, and we are looking forward to your launch of your buses, because we know you have gotten all the contracts in prisons, in national water, everything. You have all the contracts, and you might even start constructing planes, as Kiira EV is still looking on. I wonder what Kiira EV thinks about this. We told you. All right, thank you very much, guys. Please subscribe. Tell me what you think about this particular situation. And this has been the breakdown. So breakdown, I just come and break things down for you to understand. I hope you have learned something. And my approach is to show people, especially those who are in government and outside government, that I don't need to come here start being negative or this kind of stuff. No, I just need to break things down for people to understand and to look for, because these people in the NRM, most of them, they just come out and say things without evidence and without making sure that they break things down for the people. They just say, oh, Museveni has opened the factory, but we need to go into that factory. How much do they pay these people? You remember the fruit factory that I talked about, the mango factory of Museveni that collapsed in the Western Nile region? Well, there are more that are collapsing now. Okay, let's meet in the next one. Please subscribe. Let me know what you think, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.